They enslaved us. They lynched us, bombed down our businesses, flooded our neighborhood with drugs, and yet we're still here. We are strong. We're still rising. You can't break people who were forged in the fire. They tried to write us out of the story to make us feel like outsiders in the country we built. But even in silence, we've been speaking. Even in pains, we've been creating. That is the spirit of a Black American. Watch these videos. I'll be back.
It's because we are the resistance. Black women in America, we are the core of America's resistance, and we always have been. Never wanted to be, but always have been. And I'm not talking about the Kamala Harrises, okay? That's not what I'm talking about when I say Black women are the resistance. I am talking about everyday Black women. Everyday, hardworking, with the spirit of Fannie Lou Hamer, laboring Black women. We are the resistance. We are what has kept this country afloat. And I don't say that in some braggadocious way. It's a burden. And I'm tired of me and my sisters having to carry it. When Kamala Harris announced, I knew we were going to catch hell. Black women were going to catch hell, and not just from maggots. Because it really didn't matter who she was running against. It's the fact that she was a Black woman with the audacity to try. We were going to catch hell coming and going from every single corner. Identity politics has never been such a fucking talking point than when a Black woman ran for president. And to watch, as a Black woman, to watch these conservative leftists, and it's a great name for them, because I know leftists and I love leftists and they ain't it. You hear me? To watch these conservative leftists, these Blackish ones like Mattis Swan, do something like this, these accountability archives for a Black woman like me. It's so disheartening. It's like a punch in the fucking gut. I'm 50 years old. And I have been working in community, in the trenches for our people. And I'm tired. And there are these young women out here that I should be able to pass this craft on to for the good of our people. And they don't want to be our people. For all of this talk that they do about how they hate empire, if you break the spirit of Black women in America, you have handed empire the win. If you break the spirit of Black women in America, you have handed empire the win. Because we are the resistance. We are the ones that have been out here working. And I think when Black women start to talk about our political power, some of our brothers do get a little bit tense. They feel left out. And it's not a dig against them. It's how white supremacy operates. Black men are our muscle. White supremacy has been stealing our muscle out of our community since they were forced to free us. Whether it be pitch black midnight, a mob of them drags a Black man out of his bed with his wife, threatening his wife and children. It'd be the war on drugs, police brutality, whatever it is. Our men have been stolen out of our home. They've constantly taken our muscle. And we have been left standing there with children. And we have to defend ourselves. We have to defend our homes. Something has to be there. If our men return, we have been the resistance, not because we want to, but because we have been forced to. And it is a thankless job. And just like Fannie Lou Hamer, Black women are sick and tired of being fucking sick and tired. And to now have to correct and control the damage of a young Black woman who rejects her own power by rejecting everyday Black women. Yes, Mattis Swan is holding a ticking time bomb. And she's the one holding it. It's going to blow up on her. And there's nothing we can do. And at this point, there's nothing I care to do.
I'm going to say something, a message from Spirit that's going to annoy some people. If you're not a Black American, you probably want to leave. If you are a Black American, you saw that video where they said the biggest threat to what's happening out east as a young black youth here in America. They didn't say black people globally. They said here in America. That's because it is your power that is rising. And I've seen this. I've seen this when I have so many black women in particular coming to me because they feel called to me. But what it's for is for activation. And every time I start getting in their energy, it is huge power that has been locked and suppressed and bound down inside of them, that those binds are starting to snap and they're waking up. It is us. We're the ones ushering in this new world, you guys. Why do you think they will not acknowledge the harm that they've done to us? Why do you think that they will pay people over there billions of dollars every year, but they won't even think about giving us reparations? Why do you think that every time we start to rise in power, whether it's a community or economic wealth, they will cut us down at our knees? Why do you think that now that black women are the most educated demographic in the United States, that now there's a bunch of places saying they don't care about college degrees anymore, right? Every time we start to find a little bit of power, they come after us. Why? Because we have all the power, you guys. And I'm not talking about racial supremacy. I'm not talking about nothing like that. What I am talking about is when a people has been stripped from their identity, the way that black Americans uniquely, and when I say black Americans, I mean North and South. I don't just mean in the United States, have been stripped from their identity, stripped from their culture. Understand why. It's for a time like this. Now, here I am thinking, why is it black Americans, right? Why not just all black people globally? And then I realized there is no global black community. Blackness is a very American thing, and that is more uniquely North American, right? I saw a video yesterday of people complaining about black Americans going over and colonizing parts of Africa. And that broke my damn heart, because it made me realize black Americans have no home. They have no home. You know why? Because they're meant to make a new home. There's a new power, and you're going to see, just like with the Diddy mess, they're going to be trying to distract you from your power. They want you talking about, and black leaders, right, who run gossip sites, they want you so distracted. Y'all need to turn that mess off. Andre 3000 came through for a time because he felt it. I'm sure he felt it. Why do you think he gave the black community this flute, one of the highest vibration musical instruments that you're going to use, right? So please don't be distracted right now. Please don't be distracted right now. Please don't listen to the people who tell you that you have no power. There's a reason why they work so hard to keep one group so oppressed ideologically over all else. And it is because we hold the power. Where do you think the gods are bound? Where do you think they are? Inside of us. They're returning from inside of us. Now, some people aren't going to like this because they think I'm going to be saying that they have less. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about one group of people. And if you feel the need to center yourself, then you're part of the damn problem. You are part of the problem. Power would not be so, they would not be so vested in keeping power away from us if we had no power. There's only one reason they would work so hard to convince us over and over and over to create a whole system that ensured we didn't have power, and it's because we do. It is for a time like this. I need, please wake up. Please break out of the religious paradigm. Please break out of the paradigm that has, there's so many black Americans. I'm remembering something Spirit was saying last night. I think black Americans have a unique ability to manifest really, really severely. We don't just manifest, it's like we amplify something. So we take an energy in, we infuse it with our energy, we give it that flavor, we amplify it. We have already shaped the world, you guys. Y'all don't see your power. Once you travel, you see the power of black culture, black American culture in particular. So think about the things they have us fixated on. Think about the images of us that they allow us to see. Think about what's seated in our music, and remember who the hell you are.
Okay, so y'all seen the video of that man passionately talking about how black Americans had no culture. I think I have something clicked in my mind regarding why the rest of the diaspora keeps saying that we as black Americans have no culture when we as black Americans clearly can see what our culture is. It's very confusing for us. And I think that part of the issue is that we do not have an immigrant story as black Americans. Black Americans are not immigrants. Black Americans are Americans. We literally were here before America was America. We were here at the inception of this country. We are Americans, period, point blank, period. But every other part of the diaspora has an immigrant story. They definitely have one when they come to America. So if you are from outside the America and you are a black person, that you come from outside America, African or Caribbean, or even like a black Brit who has an immigrant story to the UK, there is a term called cultural fossilization. It's something that I've heard immigrants, not just from the diaspora, but also Latino immigrants describe, that I never connected it to why people say black Americans don't have culture until today. Cultural fossilization is when, let's say your parents immigrated to America from Nigeria in the 80s. Okay. Whenever they did that, their culture was kind of frozen in time. So whatever culture they had in Nigeria when they came to America, they maintained that culture, and they maintained that culture with all the other people that are around them, all the Nigerians that are around them. So their culture is like solidified, and they pass that on to their children, and that's the culture. Meanwhile, back home in Nigeria, the culture is evolving, just like Black American culture is evolving. So your culture kind of gets concentrated. If you come from another place and you come to America, your culture from back home kind of gets concentrated into this one solidified culture. It doesn't evolve. It just stays frozen. That's why they call it cultural fossilization. And I've heard Latinos say this as well. Like they would have this culture, and when they go back home, they speak in ways, the slang is different, everything's different. And people are looking at them like, why are you talking like it's 1985? That's the year their parents immigrated here. So their culture stays the same. And the reason why they say that Black Americans have no culture is because our culture evolves like any culture would. Our slang evolves, our style of dress, our, music, our hairstyles, just the way that we are, our thoughts, our feelings, the way that we move, it changes because cultures evolve as time goes on. But if you came from another place, your culture didn't evolve. It stayed frozen in time, in the time that you came here. So that, I think that's part of the reason why they say Black Americans have no culture, because their culture is like put in glass, and they do the same cultural norms that they did 40 years ago. They continue that, and they think that like, immortalization of that time and of their culture is culture. They don't see it as the evolving of a group. And I think that's part of the problem. And I think that's also very unfortunate, because you're seeing that you don't have the evolution of your culture. Your kids come here, and then by the second, third generation, they start to take on the characteristics and mannerisms of Black Americans because our culture stays evolving, and you don't like it. So then you lash out at us. That's just my perspective. Tell me what you think of cultural fossilization.
If you really think about it, bruh, it's our world and everybody's just living in it. Everybody's always talking about, oh, Black Americans have main character complex or main character syndrome. Maybe it's because y'all think we're the main characters, so y'all treat us like the main characters, so we feel like the main characters because we are the main characters now. You know what I mean? Somebody's always hating on us, hating on our shit, talking about us. Somebody's always showing love to us, as they should, bro. Like our culture, music, fashion, language. Our culture is the most, what's it called? It's the most assimilated into. The most assimilated into. It's the most copied, the most copied, the most emulated. It's really our world, bro. I'm trying to tell you. The whole world is watching. From the outside of the club, though.
No shade, because I know it's Black History Month, but I'm one of them African Americans that support the diaspora. Like, I was talking to my coworker, and he's from like Ghana or wherever the fuck, and he was telling me how his uncle got racially profiled like in his own neighborhood, and I was like, yeah, like that's fucked up or whatever, because that video had went around of that guy getting racially profiled at his own fucking house. And he was like, yeah, that's why I just told him, like, you just have to, like, be diligent about making white people feel comfortable when you move into their spaces. And I think there's a conversation to be had, a very nuanced one, about like why Africans are so anti-Black and like seek white acceptance so much. And like, I get it, imperialism, colonialism, all of that. Like, I understand, I get it. But every time one of them niggas speak, I'd be like, you know what?
Did you know that Native Americans were enslaved for over 300 years longer than Africans?
I think it's funny how y'all talk about Native American slavery and African slavery as if they were separate. Do you think that when they were capturing and breeding slaves that they were putting them in separate fields and in separate breeding grounds? Millions of indigenous women and children were thrown into slavery and then breeded with African slaves. Most African slaves were male, correct? And most Native American slaves were women and children. And they shipped all the men to the Caribbeans. You guys have this weird revisionist concept of history that's really rooted in anti-Blackness. Everybody else is allowed to be multi-ethnic except for Black Americans. It doesn't make sense when you actually know the history of America. The French and Spanish colonies had mostly Native American slaves. French and Spanish colonies made up 2/3 of America. When America bought the Louisiana Purchase, all those people who lived in those colonies stayed. And guess which slaves they had? That's right, Native American slaves. And who do you think were catching all these Native American slaves and selling them to the English colonists? That's right, the French and the Spanish. So when y'all say that Black Americans are not indigenous and they don't have any indigenous heritage, it actually doesn't make sense. You historically know that Native Americans were enslaved. What do you think they did with the slaves? Like, do you really think that they separated them? I genuinely wanted to know. Only 5% of all African slaves came to America, the US. That's about 400,000 people. We know that they were mostly male. So you do the math of how we were breeding all of these slaves. Do the math. Do the math. In reality, the reason why y'all deny the indigenous background of Black Americans is because y'all know that that would give us claim over this land. That is y'all's biggest fear because y'all are afraid of the repercussions of your ancestors. But the truth is the truth. America literally wrote laws to reclassify Black people of mixed African and indigenous race as Negro. They removed them from the history of the indigenous people so that they could, for one, continue to enslave them, but for two, continue to have claim over this land. I'm tired of y'all feigning ignorance when the truth is right before your eyes. Anyways, I'm done talking about this. If you actually want to learn something for once in your life, read a book. Read this book. I don't care if you buy this book or not, but the truth will come out one day. And until then, we could just wait.
I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers or anything, but am I the only person, Black African American person, who remembers when anybody else who was a part of the African diaspora used to differentiate themselves from us? Like, oh, I'm not Black, I'm Jamaican. I'm not Black, I'm Haitian. I'm not Black, I'm Panamanian. But now it's like, bro, we're all Black. I don't know. It's like now that we're on the forefront, which we've always been, but now that it's really trending, it's like, I don't know, they want to claim it as theirs. But before, they had to make sure that everybody knew that they were foreign and they were not like us.
You know, as a Black man, after a certain period of time, you start to understand that the reason why a lot of people of the other races stay far away from Black people, they don't hang out with Black people, they have limited Black friends, or they just don't, they stay far away from Black people, right? It's not because of the color of their skin or racism or that they're Black in and of itself. It's just, it just comes down to character. And what I mean by this is like, I'll give y'all an example. Like you will see as a Black person, right, realizing this, something that another Black person does. And you're just like, okay, that's why Joey and Tom doesn't want to hang out with Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why, you know what I'm saying, Nick doesn't want to hang out with Naquan. You know what I mean? Like, that's why. You know, there's just a certain type of stereotype that exists, and let's keep it a buck, man. Stereotypes would not exist if they weren't somewhat true, you know? And I just feel like a lot of Black people just got to start accepting that. There's a certain stereotype out there that has been created, not by you, but like a certain faction of the Black community that, right? Like, that's why, you know what I'm saying, people see us and they look the other way, or they don't want to be associated with us. It's 100% the way that, you know, certain Black people behave and act in certain scenarios. And also another truth is, you know, if you speak proper, or, you know what I'm saying, you don't do the typical Black thing that a Black person would do, right? You're called white. And it also gets to a point where if you're not ghetto and you speak proper, they call you, oh, you're trying to fit in with the whites. You know, you're trying to be white. But, you know what I'm saying, I'm here to say that the ratchet behavior and the the aggressiveness just needs to stop. Like, there's no other way around it. Like, that's just the truth, bro.
And really not being able to process why are these people so angry with me? Why are they calling me this? Why wasn't I supposed to ride across the street anyway? Why? Nobody ever talked about that. I think that when I was growing up, Black folks just accepted some things. This is just the way it is. And like I said, even, you know, with the exception of this really, really poignant thing that my mom said to me at 10, which really, again, is one of those things I will never forget. And it did change my perspective to some degree. And of course, she followed it up with other things. You know, she put me in charm school and, you know, other things like that to try to help me. But yes, I think that if we hadn't been so afraid to talk about that, Black folks were scared of white people. I mean, I grew up afraid of white people. I grew up feeling intimidated by white folks. I grew up not feeling like I was as good as they were. And if you hear a tinge of anger in my voice, I'm still mad as hell about that. Because I feel like maybe my ACT scores wouldn't have been as low as they were if I had felt like I had a chance or I was as good as they were. So yes, It should have been talked about. We should have been empowered. But it was the time. It was just the time. People were afraid.
And we wonder why every black boy in America wants to be a rapper or an athlete. Because we don't prioritize education, brothers and sisters. And they deliberately do not prioritize education, brothers and sisters, because there is a fear of black intelligence. Oh, yes, it is. See, what they don't tell you is most of the major inventions that America uses today came out of the minds of black people who did not get an education sitting next to white people. See, brothers and sisters, we invented the gas mask. And we wasn't sitting next to white children when we invented the gas mask. We wasn't sitting next to white children when we invented the stoplight. We weren't sitting next to white children when we invented the self-lubricating engine. We weren't sitting next to white children when we invented the refrigerated truck, the golf tee, the radio transmitter. We weren't sitting next to white children when we came up with the technology for the cell phone or the internet. All of these things we did on our own in those old, dilapidated black schoolhouses right here in Jacksonville, Florida. See, what y'all don't know is the reason the Supreme Court desegregated the schools was not to give black children a better education. The Supreme Court desegregated the schools on May 17th, 1954, because the white power structure was afraid that if we don't take over the education of black children, they may one day surpass our own children. You know what gave birth to these black Wall Streets? Those dilapidated black schoolhouses. And America was scared that if you don't bring the Negro under our direct academic supervision, he will surpass our white children. They didn't integrate the schools to help us out. They integrated the schools to dumb us down. You don't believe me? Guess what? Intelligence tests done on children from birth to age 5 reveal that African babies outperform the children, the infants of any other race, including the Asians. Our children outperform all other groups. They even tell you in developmental psychology that black children grow quicker than all the other children put together. Well, if the brain is responsible for intelligence, and if the brain is responsible for physical development, if the black child physically grows quicker than the other children, doesn't it also reason that the black child might be intellectually quicker than the other children also? That's why they came up with these IQ tests. I need you to understand something, Jacksonville, Florida. Testing came to America so they could segregate against black people. Let me say that one more time. The reason you got to take an LSAT to go to law school, the reason you got to take an MCAT to go to med school, the reason you got to take an SAT to go to college, the reason you got to take a GRE to go to grad school, the reason you got to take an exam to be a police officer or take an exam to be a fighter is because through the tests, they can engineer who passes and who fails. I'm going to go a step further because some of you are saying, no way. You're not going to convince me that they can engineer a test that will guarantee the whites pass and the blacks fail. How can they do such a thing, Dr. Umar? Let me explain it to you. Every test in the world goes through a process known as standardization. Let me tell you what standardization is, because I participated in the standardization for the most popular intelligence test in this country and the most popular achievement test in this country. Standardization is the process of testing the different demographics of your society. You pre-test everybody. Follow me. You're going to test poor black children. You're going to test rich black children. You're going to test single-parented black children. You're going to test black kids whose parents only have a high school diploma. You're going to test black children whose parents have a master's degree. You're going to do the same for the Arabs, the same for the Anglo-Saxons, the same for the Jews, the Arabs, the East Indians, the Latinos. Everybody, you're going to pre-test the test. So when they pre-test the test, they have the evidence of how you will perform on the final test. Stay with me. When your child takes a reading comprehension exam on the Florida State Assessment, the Georgia State Assessment, there might be 12 questions on that test. But the pre-test had 12,000 questions. The math section, it might be 12 questions. But the pre-test had 12,000 questions. My question for y'all tonight, how did they narrow down from 12,000 items on the pre-test that they gave the children all over America in secret? How did they narrow down from 12,000 items on the pre-test to the 12,000 items on the final test? They looked at how the blacks scored. They looked at how the whites scored. They looked at how the Asians scored. So when you hear these news releases and programs telling you that black children are 10 points less intelligent than the whites, black children are 10 points less intelligent than the Asians, I need you to remember that Dr. Umar already told me that y'all tested the test before y'all came up with the final test, so y'all knew how the black children will do before they took the test. They engineer black failure. Do you know why? Standardized testing is the new Jim Crow sign. The way you keep black people out of opportunity is give them a test, engineer the test, and when they fail or score low on the test, you don't have to say, I'm keeping you out of grad school because you black. You say, I'm keeping you out of grad school because you ain't score high enough. The test score does the same thing the no blacks Jim Crow sign does. But the added advantage of the test score is you're using numbers and not words. And because you're using numbers and not words, black people think they have a fair chance. When we give an IQ test, brothers and sisters, there's 4 major sections of the intelligence test. There's processing speed, how fast you can execute intellectually. Black children do as well as Asians and Caucasians. There's working memory, how well you can hold information in your mind and manipulate it. Black children do as well as Asians and Anglo-Saxons. There's nonverbal reasoning, how well you can solve problems for which you receive no education, like a Rubik's Cube. Black children do as well as the Anglo-Saxons and the Asians. So if black children do as well as everybody else on processing speed, if black children do as well as everybody else on nonverbal reasoning, if black children do as well as everybody else on working memory, why is there a consistent 10-point black, white, black, Asian test score? You know why? I neglected to give you the final composite. And guess what that one is called? Verbal comprehension. Do you know what that is? That's the words and ideas white people use that black children never heard of, don't need to know about, and it has nothing to do with how smart you are. In fact, we call verbal comprehension crystallized intelligence. Do you know what that means? It is based on how well you've been educated. So what is it doing in an IQ test? IQ test is supposed to measure native intelligence, not learned information. So you know why they leave it in the IQ test? Because without it, there's no black-white test gap. The white privilege is in the verbal scale. So you say, Dr. Umar, why don't we get them to take it out? They'll never take it out. Because if they take it out, the fallacy of white intellectual superiority falls apart. And if they take it out, black children in Florida might start scoring higher than white children in Florida. And you can't have black children in Florida scoring higher than white children in Florida because you upset the status quo. Now you got to ask, why we only got 2 black students working on a medical degree at the University of Florida if blacks are scoring higher? Why you only got a handful of blacks at Florida State working on a law degree if the black kids are scoring higher? If the black children outscore the Asians and Anglo-Saxons, you no longer have an excuse for white privilege. So they use test scores to keep black people in a place. America tests more than any other nation on earth for that very purpose of denying opportunity. Because guess what, brothers and sisters? If you intend to teach everybody, you don't need a graduation exit exam. In fact, how is it possible that I can have straight A's and B's on my report card for 12 years and fail a graduation test? As Brother Malcolm said, you've been had, you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, and led astray.
Y'all, I promise, one of the things I admire so much about our ancestors is their ability to smile and find joy inside, no matter what type of hail or storm they are going through on the outside. Because for real, this picture was taken in the 1860s. Slavery so-called ended in 1865. So it's likely that this picture was taken during the period of enslavement. Yet and still, this young girl found a way to smile. Don't get it twisted. Children who were enslaved weren't treated well either. See, this is why history is so important. It gives you perspective. Now, look, I've had a rough year, and I'm sure you had a rough year too. And we are having a rough time right now. But I promise you that it pales in comparison to what they went through back then. We will get through this. Just remember, as you go throughout your day, find some time to smile, because she sure did.
In Philadelphia, we have so many historical sites that you can go visit that are either like cheap or low cost or sometimes even free. Today I had a meeting at an underground railroad stop in Germantown, 15 minutes from where I live in Strawberry Mansion. When we talk about Black history, I spend a lot of time in West Africa. Y'all know me. I love the continent. But when we talk about Black American history, why don't we talk about the history that's right here in our country, like in our cities, in the places that we live, where there is archival information about what our people went through, experience, the accolades that they made, the defeats that they felt, the families that they built. Like, we are so lucky, especially as Black Philadelphians. But what would it look like in the United States if Black Americans really leaned in to the historical understanding of where our people were in this actual country?
You're unqualified to continue your conversation.
You did not answer the question. So I just watched your entire video and I came to the conclusion that you love to make up things and lie a lot. And also, you don't seem to have a very accurate vocabulary. You don't seem to understand the meaning of words.
The new talking points from continental Africans is Black Americans don't have a unique culture because our culture is a mix of African, European.
There is no new talking points from continental Africans saying that Black Americans don't have a unique culture because it is a mix. Not a single continental African is saying that. Not a single one. I did not even say that. I was not talking about Black Americans. I was talking about you. Here's what I said. One thing I thought was actually hilarious is when you talked about soul food, saying that soul food is a mix of European, African, and Native American food that is unique to... That's exactly what I said. I was talking about you. I was talking about how ridiculous your statement was. You said soul food is a mix of African cuisine, European cuisine, and Native American cuisine, which is unique to Black Americans. And I challenged your statement, which is ridiculous to say that it is unique when it is a mix of other people's culture. You simply used the wrong word. The word you were looking for is proper. What you should have said is soul food is a mix of African, European, and Native American food that is proper to Black Americans, not unique. The word you should have used is proper, not unique. Using unique was an intellectual boo-boo, and I just cut it out.
The anti-American xenophobia refuses to allow them to either actually learn...
Anti-American xenophobia. Sir, I literally have the American flag in my bio. I live in the United States of America. This is America, sir. Every single day I am in community with Americans. Every single day, everywhere I go. How can I be xenophobic towards a group of people that I live with every single day? It looks to me that you don't even know the meaning of xenophobia, sir. Xenophobia is the hatred from one group towards another group that is considered outsiders. Literally. So it is mostly nationals hating on immigrants, outsiders, or foreigners. That's what xenophobia is. I am the foreigner. How can I be xenophobic towards a group of people that I have chosen to live among? See what I told you? You don't understand the meaning of words.
I'm not sure why you would attempt to speak on Black Americans and our culture when you apparently don't even know what the definition of culture is.
I literally made a video dissecting the subject, which is culture, using Congolese culture as an example. And you look at me straight in my face and tell me, you don't even know what culture is. Okay, I don't know what culture is. Please teach me, what is culture?
Culture is the customs, art, social institutions, and achievement of a particular nation, people, or other social group.
Hey, congratulations. I'm memorizing the Google definition of culture. Culture is customs, art, social institutions, and. Say it again.
Social institutions and achievement.
Say it again.
And achievement.
And. Do you know what end means? End means all of that together, jointly. All of that together. You need to have all of that together for it to be considered culture. And the only thing you talk about, and most Black people talk about, is art, food, and music. Yes, cuisine is art for the slow people. Yes, it is. That's the only thing y'all talk about, food and music. You never talk about the customs. What are the customs? If a Black American man wants to marry a Black American woman, what is the process? What is the cultural process to follow to marry a Black American woman? Does every single Black American man do the same? Give me one example that you have put on the internet that shows all of that together.
But since you appear to be an anti-Black, anti-American grifter who only gets views...
Anti-Black, anti-American grifter. Sir, I'm Black, okay? I have stood with Black Americans on multiple occasions. Right now, we're just not seeing eye to eye. I don't hate Black people. I'm Black. But for you to call me a grifter, what is that? Projection? I'm not a grifter. That's you. You are a panderer. You pander to the Black American community, sir. Your entire following is Black American. That is literally the hand that feeds you. You can never go against the hand that feeds you. So even if Black Americans are wrong, you will never make a video saying that Black Americans are wrong. Even if you have proof that Black Americans are the reason why all these diaspora wars are going on, you will never say anything negative about Black Americans because your entire following is Black American. That is the hand that feeds you. You're not alone. There are plenty of Black foreigners on this app who pander to the Black American community because their following is Black American and they are scared of what the following might say about them if they say something negative about Black Americans. So y'all keep your mouths shut so you can get paid. Now, who's the grifter?
Yes, quite literally, every Black American eats soul food. in America.
That right there is what you call a lie. I bet $100 to anybody. We can pick a random black family, go to that family, and I promise you, we won't eat soul food. Why? Because not every single black American family eats soul food, but every single black American family eat American food.
You'd rather spend your time defending a Beninese man who disrespected black Americans for what?
I'm not sure where you're getting this information, but I would love to see that video of me defending a Vietnamese man against a black American. I don't remember ever making a video defending a Vietnamese man. If I'd done that,
it must suck from having an inferiority complex. What sucks most about anti-intellectuals who possess a low-level IQ, ignorant and stupid.
Let me tell you something about intelligence. Intelligence is very strange. Every time you think you are talking to an idiot, you need to remember that idiot is probably thinking the same thing of you.
See, in my videos, I talk about Africans, I talk about Caribbeans, I talk about white people, I talk about Latinos. But Africans and Caribbeans don't have this energy. See, Africans will allow Asians and white people to go into their homeland and completely ruin everything. They'll allow them to put their children in diamond mines. And then instead of saving the children, they'll run over here. See, black Americans aren't cowards like that. We don't sit around and run to other people's countries. We handle business. We call out evil from all groups of people. The same way that I call you out, if you watch my other videos, is the same way I call out white people. Me and you are not the same. Then they say, oh, black Americans think that they're the main characters. We are the main characters. We're the only influential black group on the planet. Nobody else here really matters like that because everybody else copies us. Nobody else is on our level of influence. We are the head. We are number one. We are the tribe of Judah. That's why everybody copies us.
So now, black Americans don't have a community in America.
Can you believe that? The 50 states in this country, not a single state in America has a black community.
This one African has a vendetta against us. He came to America, he's observed everything, and now he thinks he's ripping it apart.
You really define what a community is. There are black neighborhoods.
Neighborhoods, yeah.
But we don't have a black community.
So define the black community for our audience.
Well, take an example of Chinatown.
Okay.
Chinese don't come here saying, oh, I'm rich, then I'm going to live in Greenwich. Right. There's a reason they all want to live in Chinatown.
Mm-hmm. Let me explain to this fool why black Americans don't have a community like Chinatown, like the Jewish people do, like Little Tokyo, or y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Y'all catch my drift. What this African man doesn't understand is black people, black Americans are exactly like white Americans. The whole fucking country is our community. The whole country is supposed to speak English. The whole country. Everywhere I go, every business I go into, I'm supposed to be able to communicate to get what I need done. That's what you don't understand. This is America. The whole 50 states is our community. What are you talking about? We don't need a little carved out 12 square blocks to say, hey, this is ours. No, all 50 states, black Americans are everywhere. It don't matter. When I go to Chinatown, they're supposed to be able to stop speaking Chinese and speak English and sell me whatever I need to buy because this is America. When I go to Small Hat World, they're supposed to do the same thing when I want that kosher meat. Pause. Big pause. Okay? They're supposed to do the same thing because this is America, African man. I don't know what you don't understand about that.
Because the kids grow up and they just inherit the culture, the traditions, the customs. Because they see another Chinese, a Chinese family, a teacher, a lawyer, an engineer, and they just see it. Mm-hmm. So for children, the eye teaches them more than the ears. What they see is what they copy.
Exactly.
Now, even in Bridgeport, as small as it is, in Bridgeport is divided into what? 4 parts. Go to Park Avenue, and as soon as you begin to ascend the hill towards Sacred Heart, yeah. That is the Jewish community. Mm-hmm. They have the synagogues there. They have the Jewish community center. They have the Jewish children's home and everything. Next to it is the Greek center. Mm-hmm.
Okay? We don't need 12, 13, 14 square blocks to say, hey, this is ours. This is Little Africa. We're not African. We're American. Goofy. See? You still keep missing the point. You so smart, right? You so smart. You so smart. You keep trying to compare us to these other groups when you don't understand that black Americans are American. We're American. All 50 states are ours. We speak English, okay? All 50 states are supposed to accommodate me and my language so that I understand what's going on. All 50 states. I don't know what you don't understand about that. And it's crazy that I got to keep coming with these facts to break these Africans back. I'm low-key getting tired of this. I can't keep doing it. I'm getting tired, right? Because the argument is getting a little tiring, okay?
And let me remind you, our people have always remembered. They tried to strip our language, but we sang songs that carried the gospel across fields. They tried to outlaw education, but we built HBCUs where billions could be born. They tried to shut us out of democracy, but we marched, we bled, we voted, and we changed the laws of the land. They tried to destroy our spirit, but the black church stood as a lighthouse in every storm.
You can take the land, you can take the schools, you can take the country, you can take our towns, right? What you can take is the fire in us that is burning. You can take our future if you think you can. Can you even take our future? But you can't take the fire that is burning in us. We are meant to break, but instead we're meant to break out, but instead we became diamonds. Yeah, that is who the FBA is. That is who the foundational Black American is. So drop a diamond in the comments if you know Black Americans were built to last. If you know you all are not built to last, you can just overlook it, right? But I know you all are built to last. It doesn't matter if you comment or not, but I know you all are built to last because no matter what they do, we are unbreakable. Somebody should say we are unbreakable. So do not forget to subscribe, like, share this video, right? We are all here for the Blacks. We are here for the Black Americans especially. Your voice, Global This with Beejay. I'll see you on the next time. Bye, guys.